Have you ever wondered why the world seems upside down? Why the kind-hearted struggle to survive while the ruthless rise with ease? You give, you care, you try to do what's right. Yet somehow it's the ones who take, lie, and manipulate that end up with everything. It makes you question everything you were taught. All your life you were told that goodness wins in the end. That if you stay honest, patient, and kind, the universe will reward you. But deep down, a quiet truth has been whispering to you, hasn't it? That maybe the world doesn't work the way they said it does. Maybe it never did. You've seen it with your own eyes. The co-worker who cheats his way to the top. The leader who destroys lives for power. The person who uses others like pawns yet gets praised for their success. And you've asked yourself, how? How do these people keep winning while those who play fair keep falling behind? It's not just unfair, it's infuriating. It shakes your faith in everything you believed about right and wrong. But what if the reason evil people succeed isn't because they're smarter or luckier? What if it's because they understand something that most people refuse to see? You see, the world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards understanding. It doesn't respond to intentions. It responds to power, to clarity, to awareness. The ruthless have simply learned to use the rules most people are too afraid to face. While you're trying to be nice, they're studying human nature. While you're trying to be accepted, they're mastering control over themselves, over others, over perception. That's not because they're inherently stronger, but because they've learned to play a game you didn't even know you were in. Most people move through life reacting, controlled by emotion, driven by fear, paralyzed by what others might think. But those who rise don't react, they act. They move with intention. They understand that morality doesn't shape reality, energy does, confidence does, certainty does. And the moment you start seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it were, you begin to step into that same power. It's a hard truth to swallow because we want to believe that being good is enough, that if we just stay humble, someone will notice. But the world isn't watching for humility. It's responding to energy, to strength, to presence. The people you call evil aren't necessarily powerful because of their darkness. They're powerful because they're unapologetically themselves. They don't hide their hunger. They don't bury their ambition under guilt. They own it, wield it, and shape the world with it. And maybe that's what's been missing in you. Maybe your goodness became a cage, something that kept you from touching your own strength. You were told to suppress your darker impulses, your competitiveness, your drive, your desire to win. You were told those were bad. But what if that darkness was never your enemy? What if it was your unused potential, the raw power you've been denying all along? Because power itself isn't evil, it's neutral. The difference lies in how it's used. The same fire that burns can also light the way. The same hunger that destroys can also create. The people who succeed, even the ones we call evil, understand this balance instinctively. They're not at war with themselves. They've made peace with their shadow. And that's what makes them whole. But you, yes, you, still have that same potential buried inside you. The world may have taught you to fear your own strength, to apologize for wanting more, to shrink so others feel comfortable. But every time you do that, you hand your power away to those who won't hesitate to use theirs. The truth is, this world doesn't belong to those who wait for permission. It belongs to those who claim it. So if you've ever wondered why evil people succeed, maybe it's because they've learned to use the parts of themselves that others suppress. They've accepted the darkness within and turned it into motion. The question now isn't why they rise. It's whether you'll keep standing in your own way, whether you'll keep hiding behind what's right, or finally embrace what's real. Because the world won't change by hoping it gets fairer. It changes when you stop pretending it ever was, when you stop seeing your darkness as a curse and start using it as fuel. The moment you do, that's when the balance shifts. That's when power becomes yours. You've been taught to silence your instincts, to play small, to be polite, agreeable, easy to digest. But look where that's gotten you. Stuck watching others take what you wanted, wondering why life keeps rewarding those who never cared about the rules. Deep down, you know it's not because they're better. It's because they decided they deserved more. They gave themselves permission, the kind you've been waiting for someone else to give you. Every time you doubt yourself, you feed the very system that keeps you powerless. Every time you apologize for existing too loudly, you give your voice away to those who never earned it. Power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being real, from standing in your truth so unapologetically that the world has no choice but to feel it. You've been living in defense mode, hoping your goodness would protect you, but protection is an illusion. You don't need armor, you need awareness. The truth is, life doesn't punish the weak, it ignores them, it passes them by quietly, while the bold carve their names into reality. Every day you hesitate, someone else takes your opportunity. Every time you hold back, someone else steps forward. And that's how the world keeps its balance. The daring rise while the fearful stay dreaming. You can keep blaming the system, or you can wake up and learn how it works. Because once you see how the game is played, you realize the power was never out there. It's been sitting in your hands this entire time, waiting for you to stop pretending you're powerless. You don't need to become ruthless to rise. You need to become whole. To stop rejecting the parts of yourself that make you unstoppable. Your anger, your ambition, your hunger for more, those aren't flaws. They're signals. They're life screaming through you, reminding you that you're meant for more than survival. You're meant to create, to influence, to lead. But to do that, you have to stop fearing your own shadow, because the moment you run from it, you hand it over to those who use it against you. When you embrace your shadow, everything changes. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining your worth. You begin to move differently, calm, deliberate, powerful. The same energy you use to waste on self-doubt transforms into focus. You stop asking, why them? And start asking, why not me? You start realizing that power isn't taken, it's reclaimed. Every choice, every word, every boundary you set becomes a declaration, I'm done, waiting to be chosen. But this isn't just about success, it's about awakening. Because once you see how the world really works, you can never unsee it. You start noticing patterns, how people who seem confident often know nothing more than how to hold their ground, how the ones who seem fearless feel fear too, but act anyway. The difference is simple. They don't wait to be ready. They move, they learn, they adapt, and the universe moves with them. You've been conditioned to play nice in a world that only remembers those who play bold. And if that feels unfair, good. It means you're waking up. Because fairness was never the promise. Growth was. And growth demands that you step into discomfort, that you stop mistaking humility for hiding, that you allow yourself to become everything you once believed was too much, because the world doesn't need your silence. It needs your presence. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop asking for permission to be powerful. There is no perfect moment, no magic sign. There's only now. There's only the decision to stop letting fear decide what you deserve. The moment you do, you'll feel it. Something shifts. The world doesn't change instantly, but you do. You become the kind of person who commands respect instead of begging for it. The kind who acts from power, not from need. And that's when everything starts to align. The right people appear. The right doors open. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you did. You stopped running from yourself. You stopped dimming your light to make others comfortable. You finally remembered who you were before the world told you to forget. Because in the end, the difference between those who rise and those who remain is simple. One chooses to use their darkness, and the other lets it use them. The question is no longer why evil people succeed. It's whether you're ready to stop letting your light be held hostage by your fear. Because once you step into your power, once you see your own reflection in the darkness, you'll understand. This was never about good versus evil. It was always about consciousness versus denial. And now that you know, you can't unknow it. The world is yours to shape if you dare. The moment you stop running from your own power, everything shifts. You begin to see the truth behind the illusion that the world was never holding you back. You were. With every doubt, every apology, every time you chose silence over truth, you built the walls that trapped you. But the key was always in your hands. You've been waiting for someone to save you, to validate you, to show you the way. But the savior you've been waiting for is the one staring back at you in the mirror. No one is coming. No one ever was. And that's not something to fear. That's where your freedom begins. You've spent years believing that power is dangerous, that ambition corrupts, that wanting more makes you selfish. But what if the real danger is in pretending you don't want it? What if denying your potential is the very thing that destroys you? Because when you suppress your hunger, it doesn't disappear. It turns inward. It eats away at your confidence, your joy, your purpose. You call it anxiety, self-doubt, insecurity. But deep down, it's just your unclaimed power begging to be used. You were never meant to play small. You were meant to create impact, to move mountains, to change the temperature of every room you walk into. Every person who ever made a difference understood this one thing. They had to stop being liked to start being respected. They had to stop living for approval and start living from truth. You don't inspire people by fitting in. You inspire them by standing firm when it's uncomfortable. You become a mirror for what's possible when you refuse to bend to fear. And yes, people will misunderstand you. They'll call you arrogant, selfish, too ambitious. Let them. Because while they talk, you'll move. While they hesitate, you'll act. While they dream, you'll build. The world only remembers the ones who had the courage to stop asking for permission. The reason most people never rise is because they confuse comfort with peace. But comfort is just stagnation wrapped in softness. It keeps you numb, safe, predictable. But peace? Peace is power mastered. It's control without cruelty, strength without noise. It's the kind of stillness that shakes the ground beneath others' feet because it's unshakable. You don't get there by avoiding your darkness. You get there by walking straight through it. You face every lie you've ever told yourself, every excuse you've ever made, every fear you've ever used to stay small. And when you strip it all away, what's left is raw, untouchable strength. You were born with that strength, you just forgot. The world taught you to trade it for approval, for validation, for belonging. But belonging means nothing if it costs you yourself. Every time you dim your light to make others comfortable, you betray your own soul. Every time you hold back what you know you're capable of, you feed the very imbalance you despise in the world. Power in the wrong hands only exists because the right hands refuse to hold it. You can't complain about darkness if you're too afraid to light your fire. The world doesn't need more nice people. It needs more awake ones. People who understand their own shadow, who can stand in the storm without losing themselves. And that awakening starts the moment you stop lying to yourself. The moment you stop saying maybe later. There is no later. There's only now. This moment, this breath, this decision. The life you want doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It begins when you act, even while shaking. Fear will always whisper reasons to stay safe, but fear is not the enemy, it's the test. It's life asking, do you really want this? Every great transformation begins with discomfort. That's the cost of evolution. You can either keep waiting for the world to change, or you can become the force that does. Because the truth is, you don't need to destroy the old version of yourself. You just need to stop feeding it. Let it starve. Let the weakness, the doubt, the fear crumble from neglect. And then, from the ashes, rise as who you were always meant to be. Powerful, aware, whole. The kind of person who no longer asks why evil people succeed, because you finally understand success doesn't belong to the wicked or the pure. It belongs to the awake, to those who have the courage to face themselves, to integrate their light and shadow, to move through the world not with fear, but with absolute clarity. You don't need to chase power. You are power. You don't need to wait for a sign. You are the sign. Everything you've been searching for, strength, purpose, peace, it's already inside you, waiting for you to step aside and let it lead. And when you finally do, when you stop running from your own reflection and embrace every part of who you are, the world won't be able to look away. Because true power doesn't demand attention. It commands it, silently, unshakably, forever. Most people spend their entire lives waiting for the right moment to begin. They tell themselves they'll act when they feel ready, when the fear fades, when everything finally makes sense. But here's the truth: they'll wait forever. Because readiness is a lie. The world doesn't wait for you to be prepared. It rewards those who move, despite the chaos. Power isn't found in certainty. It's born in motion. Every time you take a step while shaking, every time you move through fear instead of around it, you reclaim a piece of yourself that hesitation once stole. You've been taught to seek permission for everything, to love, to speak, to dream. But permission is just another cage. The door has been open all along, but you keep gripping the bars, asking for a key that was never needed. The fear of judgment, of failure, of rejection, it's an illusion crafted to keep you small. And the people who thrive in this world aren't the ones who avoid those fears. They're the ones who face them, expose them, and turn them into fuel. Every powerful person you've ever admired was once terrified too. The only difference is they moved anyway. You have no idea how much strength you've buried under your own doubt. You've mistaken self-protection for wisdom, when really it's just fear wearing a clever disguise. You think you're staying safe, but safety is where dreams go to die. The world doesn't change through caution. It changes through courage. Through the quiet, unshakable decision to rise, even when no one believes in you. Especially when no one believes in you. Because the truth is, no one is obligated to see your potential. That's your job, your responsibility, your sacred duty. You don't need to fight for validation. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You only need to remember the same energy you waste trying to convince others could build empires if you turned it inward. Stop searching for acceptance in places that were never meant to hold you. The moment you stop begging for approval, your power returns. The noise fades, the fog lifts, and what's left is clarity, a kind of stillness that can't be shaken by rejection or loss. That's the foundation real power is built on. But make no mistake, power will demand something from you. It will ask you to let go of everything that keeps you comfortable. Your excuses, your stories, your identity built on fear. It will strip away every illusion until all that's left is truth. And the truth isn't always gentle. It burns. It exposes. It forces you to confront the parts of yourself you'd rather ignore. But once you face them, once you own them, they lose control over you. That's the turning point. When the darkness no longer feels like an enemy but an ally. When pain stops breaking you and starts building you. Every great transformation begins with destruction. The old version of must die for the new one to be born. And yes, it will hurt. You'll lose people who only knew how to love your smaller self. You'll walk away from comfort, from approval, from the illusion of safety. But in that empty space, you'll find something far greater. Freedom. Real, raw freedom. The kind that doesn't ask permission to exist. The kind that simply is. This is where most people turn back. They reach the edge of transformation and retreat into what's familiar. But you can't become limitless while clinging to limits. The door to your next chapter only opens when you let go of the last one. And if you listen closely, you'll feel it. Something inside you is already pushing against those walls, whispering that you were never meant to live like this, that you're not here to survive quietly, you're here to rise loudly. So stop waiting for signs. Stop waiting for the fear to fade. Stop waiting for the world to tell you it's your turn. It's already yours. It's always been yours. You've just been too distracted by the noise to hear your own voice. But now that you do, you can't go back. Because once you've glimpsed your potential, pretending to be small becomes unbearable. This is the moment, that divides the watchers from the doers, the dreamers from the creators, the ones who live for approval from the ones who live for purpose. You already know which one you were born to be. The only question left is whether you'll finally stop hesitating and step into it. Because the world doesn't belong to those who wait for power. It belongs to those who realize they already are power. And when that truth finally sinks in, nothing and no one will ever be able to stop you again. The reason most people never experience real power is because they're addicted to the illusion of control. They cling to what's predictable, what's known, what feels safe. But power doesn't live in safety. It lives in uncertainty. It lives in the chaos most people run from. Every time you step into the unknown, every time you make a move without a guarantee, you grow stronger. You build trust, not in outcomes, but in yourself. And that kind of trust changes everything. Because once you believe in your ability to handle whatever comes next, the world can no longer intimidate you. You weren't created to tiptoe through life, avoiding pain, avoiding failure, avoiding risk. You were born to expand, to evolve, to push boundaries until they break. But you can't evolve if you keep clinging to who you used to be. The old version of you was built to survive a past that no longer exists. And as long as you keep protecting that version, you'll keep repeating the same patterns. Growth isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before fear rewrote your story. You've spent too long editing yourself to fit into a world that benefits from your silence. But silence isn't peace. It's surrender. And you were never meant to surrender. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize that the fight they've been running from isn't with the world. It's with themselves. The voice that says you're not ready isn't truth. It's memory. It's the echo of every time you were told to stay small, to be realistic, to wait your turn. But your turn is now. Life doesn't hand you power. It tests you for it. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every rejection wasn't punishment. It was initiation. A brutal, beautiful process designed to strip away everything false until only what's real remains. And what's real is this: you are far more capable than you've ever been allowed to believe. The world wants you distracted, comfortable, complacent, because a focused, awakened mind is dangerous. It questions everything. It stops following. It starts creating. And that's the kind of power that can't be bought or stolen. It has to be claimed. The moment you decide to stop waiting and start acting, you shift from being a victim of life to being the architect of it. And once that shift happens, everything changes. But understand this: awakening comes with a price. The moment you start living with purpose, you'll lose people who preferred your weakness. You'll trigger those who've built their comfort on your compliance. They'll call you selfish, arrogant, changed. And they'll be right. You have changed. You've outgrown the need to be understood. You've stopped chasing approval and started building alignment. Because power isn't about control, it's about direction. It's about channeling your energy into something bigger than fear, bigger than pain, bigger than you. Every time you rise above your past, every time you refuse to let circumstances define you, you remind the world what's possible. You become living proof that strength doesn't come from perfection, it comes from perseverance. You don't need to be fearless, you just need to be willing. Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's mastery over it. The people who change the world aren't the ones who never doubt themselves, they're the ones who keep moving despite the doubt. And the longer you walk through fear, the smaller it becomes, until it's nothing more than a shadow following behind you. This is your moment to choose. You can keep living by the rules that keep you small, or you can rewrite them. You can keep chasing fairness in a world that was never designed to be fair, or you can rise above it. Because the truth is, life doesn't reward the good, it rewards the conscious. Those who understand the balance of light and shadow, who use both to move forward without losing their soul. That's where true power is born, in the integration, not the denial. You've spent enough time waiting for the world to change. It's time to realize you are the change. The power you keep searching for isn't out there. It's the energy burning inside you, waiting to be unleashed. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for permission. This is your life, your story, your revolution. And if you don't take control of it now, someone else will. The world belongs to those who dare to claim it. And once you do, once you stop apologizing for your fire and start using it, everything you've ever desired will begin to move toward you. Not because it suddenly became easy, but because you finally became powerful enough to receive it.